Intergalactic garbage retrieval craft number 60022, known around the galaxies as Space Ark, finds itself by mistake in orbit around the planet Earth. Luca, the fearless traveler, is on Earth. He's flying over what AI has told them is a desert, looking for signs of life.
Sand! Just sand as far as the eye can see. I can't see any sign of life down there. It's totally deserted. Deserted! The desert!
He's travelled a long way without finding anything, AI. Are you sure this is the right place?
The desert is extremely hot, especially in the middle of the day. The temperature has been known to reach more than 60 degrees Celsius. Very few animals come out at this time of day, but I am confident that Luca will find something.
I think I can see something. This is a very strange track. What is it, AI?
This is the track of a sidewinder.
A sidewinder? A sidewinder?
That's right. If Luca follows the track, he will catch up with its relative of the rattlesnake.
Oh, do be careful, Luca.
Don't worry, Ponda.
Wow! Look at that! Just look at that!
Oh, why does the sidewinder move like this, AI?
Remember that the sand is extremely hot. It is painful to touch. If you look carefully, you will see that by moving in this way, the sidewinder touches the sand at only 2 places at a time. Most of the time, most of its body is not touching the very hot sand.
That's very clever, very clever.
Not quite, Sippy. The sidewinder has adapted to cope with the desert over many thousands of years.
So, if it hadn't adapted, it wouldn't have survived.
That's right.
What else can you show us, Luca?
Here's another animal out in the heat of the day.
This is the fringe-toed lizard. It has also adapted to the hot desert conditions. It is quite a balancing act.
That is amazing! Amazing!
They must have adapted to be able to survive there. Is there anything else that you can see, Luca?
This bird is fluttering its throat.
Fluttering the throat is the way many of the birds of the desert keep themselves cool. This is the sand grouse. And this is the roadrunner.
Why does the roadrunner keep her tail in the air?
That is very interesting, Luca. She uses her tail like a sunshade to keep the sun off her body.
And here's another animal using its tail as a sunshade.
This is a ground squirrel.
That's neat. Very neat. What else can you show us, Luca?
This is the desert hedgehog. It has very large ears. They act like radiators. Warm blood flows into the ears where it loses its heat, just like a radiator, so the hedgehog keeps cool. And the ears of the American jackrabbit act in the same way.
So, all these animals would not survive in the desert unless they had ways of coping with the heat of the day.
That's right.
It's getting dark now. Do you want me to return to the Ark?
Not yet, Luca. There is another group of animals that avoid the heat of the sun by only coming out after dark. I think we should have a look at them.
On my way. There's an animal coming out of this hole in the ground.
Just look at those ears.
Oh, there must be a lot to listen for in the desert at night.
That's right. This is the fennec fox. It hunts in the dark and so needs a good sense of hearing and a good sense of smell if it is going to catch any prey.
But it's furry. It's furry. If it's covered in fur, it must get very hot.
That's a good point, Zippy, but although it is very hot in the desert during the day, it can be very cold in the night with temperatures below freezing point. The fennec fox, like the other night-living mammals, needs his fur coat to keep warm.
Do the desert-living animals have any other problems?
Yes, one of their main problems is water.
Water? Water in the desert? I thought there was no water in the desert.
There is not a great deal, and it is very important that the animals that live here have developed ways of making the best use of this scarce resource. Take the sand grouse that we saw earlier. The sand grouse and its chicks live on dry seeds. Without water, they would die, and the father has a method of collecting water that no other bird in the world has developed. Each day, it will fly as many as 80 kilometers in order to find water. When it does, it drinks what it needs, then soaks its breast feathers in the water. These are very special feathers. They absorb water like a sponge. When it has soaked up as much as it can carry, it flies back to the nest. The chicks know exactly where to go for their life-supporting drink.
What other ways can you find that animals have adapted to getting water in the desert, Luca?
There seems to be something going on here.
These are darkling beetles. They face into the fog that comes in from the sea that is near this desert. Fog is made up of tiny droplets of water. These droplets of water from the fog collect on their legs and bodies. Then they just raise a leg, the water runs down into the mouth, and it sucks it in. Fog is very rare in the desert, and while a small animal like the darkling beetle can make use of it, other animals have to wait until it rains.
But I thought it didn't rain in the desert.
It can be a long time before it rains, as long as 20 years. But when it does, the effect is amazing. After the storm, from the soaked ground appear animals that have been hidden in the dry earth for months, sometimes years. This is the spadefoot toad, and the first thing to do is find a pool that has formed temporarily after the storm. There is not much time. They have to mate on this first night, or it may be too late. In the desert, these pools quickly dry out. Within 24 hours, the eggs are beginning to hatch, and a day later, the pool is full of tadpoles. They feed and grow quickly, but for some, it is not quick enough. Just 2 weeks after hatching, the pool dries up, and only those who have developed legs are able to escape. They join the adults and bury themselves in the drying desert mud to wait for the next rains, many months or years ahead.
That is incredible! Incredible!
It's a very specialized way of survival.
That's right, Ponder, it is. But without it, the toads would have long since died out.
Something else has happened after the rain. The desert has become covered with thousands of beautifully colored flowers.
This is how some plants have adapted to survive in the desert. The flower seeds have been lying in the earth, waiting for rain. Now they have sprouted and blossomed. In their turn, these flowers will produce more seeds to await the next rains.
Is there anything else I should be looking for?
Oh, no thank you, Luca. You've done a good job. Get back to the Ark, and we can look again at the wonderful world of the desert that you've shown us.
On my way.